you cannot wait for somebody to invite you to the table. You need to bring a chair or you need to raise your hands and say, I'm here and I'm willing to learn.
Welcome to Women Thrive Season 5. This season, you can expect incredible conversations with women from all around the world. We at Women Thrive, not only do we put on incredible conversations with women, host events, retreats, publish a magazine, publish books, and we have created a platform for every woman to shine and share her message. So you right now tapping into a podcast that is globally recognized as the place for women to be and share their message. Be inspired, be part of the conversation, and let's thrive together. Hello and welcome to Women Thrive Podcast. I'm excited to have you here for today's conversation as we're talking about AI, the future of the AI, and why women should be leading the way and the transformation in the AI sector. And my lovely guest today is Dr. Rosa. Hi, Dr. Rosa. How are you today?
I'm excited to be here today to discuss this important topic.
Me too. And we've known each other for quite some time, actually. We met in Florida a year ago, and also Dr. Rosa was in Valencia with us last year. But this subject is really close to her heart, and the work that she has been doing in the AI and the digital transformation sector, as well as being at the forefront of the innovation. So my guest, Dr. Rosa Kolacko, she's a speaker and a global force in human-centered AI and organizational transformation. And with over 25 years of experience across healthcare, corporate, and academic sectors, and senior roles in institutions including Tufts Medicine and Bristol Myers Squibb, she's on a mission to ensure AI is built with humanity at its heart. And she is the founder of Global Equity Learning Partners and the Needs Human Movement, and a professor of Tufts University School of Medicine. Dr. Rosa, this subject is so interesting and so important for us to discuss. Tell us a little bit more about what really inspired you to lead this movement and be at the forefront of innovation and AI.
I think my inspiration comes from people. My mission in life is to elevate people's potential. And I have worked and designed and implemented AI. And when I continue to see this big gap of there's a lot of potential. What can we do digital? But what getting companies to fail using AI, and it's proven by research, is leadership readiness and how the design is not thinking about what is the need of the people we serve with this digital solution. And we're not really investing time. What we need to do is transforming organizations, how we work, transforming leadership and getting them ready, and then we can be successful. And what I observe is that we go trying to get the shiny object. I call it the shiny object of AI. I want that versus thinking about, I want it or do we really need it? And is that what my customer wants? And as somebody that have worked in healthcare for more than 20 years, this can impact people's life in a positive way or in a negative way. So that's why I created this movement to make sure that we come together to do it properly, when humanistic is guiding the decision, where employees and communities across population are guiding the design versus waiting to test the tool when it's too late in the design is already done.
And I see a lot of frustration in the forefront of usability, right? So myself included, been using customer service, support, and things like that. And now everywhere you turn is AI. There's really difficult to connect with humans anymore because organizations across the world in different sectors have now implemented AI, but it's not necessarily effective or working. So where do organizations really draw the line of, okay, what are we going to implement AI in, and where do we keep the human capital in?
One of the things that is happening now, there is a lot of negative rhetoric about revenue, about saving money, really cutting headcount. Everybody has a lot of fear about that. However, organizations that concentrate into how can we elevate the human potential versus looking into just cutting and revenue stream is the one that are really making a big difference. Why? Because they are really started to measure the impact on the organization as a whole versus thinking about we're reducing this cost over here, but we're making our employees burned out, or we're making our employees less dissatisfied. And when that happens, those that stay, then there's a lot of money of knowledge being lost when people leave organizations that we assume AI can replace. And one of the things that I learned a lot when I did my certificate in Harvard School is that they balance that idea that the digital is really paramount, but in reality is a combination of putting the humanistic design early in the process versus just designing the process and then come to our, for example, healthcare, our providers who are so busy and say, oh, by the way, we designed it for you, Ray, but you were not involved. And as somebody in the trenches serving people, you're going to say, but wait a minute, that's not helping me or my patient, but the technologists may love it. So I think we need to put up front what the human-centered design look like, and not thinking that it's more work. In reality, is making the investment of those dollars in AI to give you what you really need is to get your employees to feel inspired but not fearful that that will replace me. Because the idea of empathy in all kind of industry, when I go to education, I was doing a keynote speaking in Malta about who are preparing our educators to completely teach differently and not fear AI when there's so many fearing AI. And then we talk about reskilling. Oh, we need to reskill everybody. But who is reskilling our leaders? Who is reskilling our educators? So that's one of my passions. The same thing with the patients. I can see how this can really access when I think about people around the world in other countries, underserved population, accessing guidance with a good AI tool will be very powerful. They don't have access to specialists, but who has tested that tool? Are those people with different countries involved, or is somebody somewhere that pretend to know the needs of our people deciding that for them? So I think that's what I believe. We can really create such a bigger impact by putting human-centric front center.
What is the role of women in technology and AI? And I know there is still a big gap of women being in technology, but how can we close that gap? And what is our role? How can we be at the forefront of it, of this digital innovation, and be involved in this evolution of technology and AI?
I think we need more women. And I'm going to show statistics that you're going to say, what? Women are only 20% of global roles in AI are women. Imagine that, only 22%. Not only that, and only 18% of researchers. So that's really problematic. In addition to that, there is a big gap of women in C-suite and women in power in a place that people of AI decisions are made. So what happened as a consequence, that this balance of women tend to be more humanistic. And I just want to clarify, I'm not saying that men cannot be humanistic. However, it's a natural thing as mothers and people that always care for taking care of the people at home and our families. So what it means is the combination of a man that is very digital oriented to a woman that will bring the human centric component is very big. However, even when I look into certificate program as an academic, I look at statistics, women may have this perception that we need to be a programmer, that we need to be a coder. And why do I know that? My first business degree was in business and coding. And that was, I'm not going to say the year so you can calculate my age so you can laugh, but it's very simple. When I decided to study programming, RPG, COBOL, people who know these things say, oh, I know how old you are, Rosa. But the reality is that my friends used to say, what are you studying this? It's just not needed. It's so complicated. But that was old times, that you needed to be a programmer to design all these tools. Nowadays, with ChatGPT 5 and Cloud and Anthropic, in reality, you can give them what you need, the AI, and they will draft some of this code for you. So please don't be scared about code. This is not about code. This is about having basic of what is digital literacy. Many countries right now, when I talk about the EU make mandatory of all population, all EU countries, to provide digital literacy training to everyone. That was a mandate. When I was in Abu Dhabi and I was in Dubai, they're spending millions of dollars. They even created the first AI-driven university. Not about digital, but it's about the human piece. So what it means is there's so many opportunities right now in America. There is a big grant about America ready for AI, shifting from Europe to the US. So what it means is not only there funding out there that we should be tapping into, there are programs that would train you for free. And normally you can increase your salary by 20% or 30% only by having a degree. Some companies are making AI digital mandatory to even interview you.
Yeah.
So I think we need women because sometimes we don't look enough into what are the opportunities that are out there for women. There are organizations having grants for women, having opportunities for women to redevelop our increase of AI digital literacy. Not only literacy, it's really about how can we help the human design perspective. What I'm doing with Need Human is to have different classes for us to understand maybe how easy it may be, more easy than we think. And at the same time, identifying resources. Where can you go? No, I know LinkedIn is out there, but there's so many universities doing many of these classes for free online. But I think it's a commitment that we believe we see ourselves there, and we see ourselves that it's not a nice to have, it's a must for AI to become more humanistic for success.
Yeah. And I love that in this day and age, the technology made it so easy and accessible for anyone to use it. I've been in an online space for 15 years. It's been such a breeze to learn a new tool, implement it into your business because technology is becoming more and more accessible. And I think it's just breaking that barrier of fear of technology, innovation, AI, and just seeing how can actually that benefit you day-to-day basis. And it's so interesting that AI has really taken off over the last few years where I speak to everyday people, especially like older generation, and they're like, oh yeah, I'm just using AI to ask this question. And so it has become really mainstream, which we were fearing AI maybe 2 years ago. What is it going to become? To now becoming as mainstream as Google, right? And it's amazing. And I think for women, really, as you say, bring something really unique into the perspective of how can we nurture still the humanistic side of things and be part of this innovation, be part of the change, but bring the human side. Just before we got onto podcast, I said to you that recently I've been looking at this data where AI is taking data based on disparities of women, let's say in recruitment and the pay gap. And as they're using AI in recruitment, actually is widening the gap for women and the pay gap, right? How do you think this could be addressed? And what do you know about just AI creating more inequality because it's using data that has already been not positive towards women?
Well, I think what you said is so critical because this is not a diversity initiative. This is an equity initiative
Mm.
because the inequities already have taken place before AI. So if we're not careful, people are using that we're not ready, that are not knowledgeable about AI enough to perpetuate this issue. However, there are other organizations as well that are creating pathways to elevate women, to bring women more in the AI front. At the same time, as you may remember, Ray, I have my other tool, which is Me Inc., my brand. So we just need women to recreate their brand around AI and not really wait for somebody to create pathway. Definitely, I see organizations doing pathways, but not all of them are doing pathways. So unless we create this woman movement, that we will find a way to create pathway, but there's not a pathway. If there's not a pathway, we need to invent one. We need to invent one.
Mm.
And that's one of my passions to make sure that, and I'm going to tell you why it's not only about pay equity. I'm talking about that according to the World Economic Job Report of 2025, the most important skills of the future is empathy, resilience, self-awareness, and lifelong learning. So they're not saying that it's digital. The digital is becoming more easier to achieve, but if you don't have empathy, if you're not really have that humility to understand how, let me understand why people fear I versus complain. The only thing people are doing is fear I. We don't understand why. But we need to have empathy that in many organizations, people have seen many things happening that we need to elevate more the rhetoric of the potential. When I see drug discovery, that we can reduce drug discovery that can save somebody's life by 5 or 6, 7 years, that's amazing progress. But when I was in a university, Wharton University a couple of weeks ago in a conference, when I asked the question, is the data representative of women, all populations? The answer was no.
Mm.
So that's another reason that I stood up there, and I know people say, oh, I was brave, because for me, somebody that lost my mom in some inequities around my journey in my life, this is part of what I want to do. I want that population because we can have the drug quicker. But if we haven't tested in all the key populations around the world, it means that people won't be able to trust it. People won't be able, sometimes it happened to me in Bristol Myers Squibb, which is a great company, and we tested a drug too late in the process that we did not have enough representation, and that drug was never didn't go to market. So I think the idea of women sitting at the table having these conversations will really change the game. And I'm very convinced that only will change people's life and also elevate our human potential.
Yeah. And we as women have to put ourselves into the conversation, be part of the change, because nobody, if we may not get the invitation, we
Mm-hmm.
may not get the door opened, but unless we
Correct.
decide to walk through that door ourselves, to place ourselves in the place of a position where we can be part of that conversation. Like Dr. Rosa, we met nearly a year ago now, and you were talking about the AI and this human approach to it. Lo and behold, nearly a year later, you already launched a new brand, a new business, new offering. You got a new keynote speaking around this subject. So it's not like somebody picked up the phone and said, Rosa, Dr. Rosa, we would love for you to do this. No, you're at the forefront. You're leading the conversation. You're not being invited to start a conversation. You actually started the conversation. What can you say to women who may not necessarily have the courage to be the driver, but seeing the potential in the space and really want to be part of this movement?
I think you said something very key, and I learned it from my mom. I'm standing here behind her and inspired by her. And she used to say to me, you cannot wait for somebody to invite you to the table. You need to bring a chair, or you need to raise your hands and say, I'm here and I'm willing to learn. And sometimes we're not courageous enough. And I understand sometimes we're shy. But really, the paradox is that we should be leading AI, yet we're missing from it. We're not at the table. And I think about the people you know within your network. And sometimes we ask questions, but why my colleagues don't recommend me to go to different places? The question is, have you told the people in your network that's what you want to do? Have you told people in your network, do you know I'm reinventing my career? I would like just, sometimes you need a person to open your door, or yourself. Going back to you Inc. You don't have your you Inc. brand. You don't take that control. There's nobody that will take control of that. And I think for me, I got inspired by my mom, who didn't even have any kind of higher education. But we need to be responsible to elevate others. I want to say that for me, I have been on a mission to elevate more women with PhD, people of color with PhD, because I feel responsible because I made it. I feel responsible to get others to be elevated. And I think we as women, often sometimes we compete, and I understand that sometimes we compete, but at the same time, those numbers are only 22% representation. Call out for us to be united and show that we're not going to compete. We're going to come together to create what is needed to really win. And it's not to replace men. Men and a woman together will increase the numbers of the research that AI is failing organizations. So we together can win. but we need to share power. And that is some of the challenges we encounter in organization. But I'm very confident that our movement will move people to come together for the sake of not only few, but all populations.
Yeah, absolutely. Dr. Rosa, you will be speaking more on this subject as our keynote at the Women Thrive Live London event, June. What can people expect from your talk during our event?
I'm so excited about this talk because I wanted not only to move the movement, but to show you tools. We do have a human-centric leadership index into how can we not only can learn, but can lead AI. And also we can also talk about how can we design an AI solution involving your customers, involving your employees. So we have a human-centric design AI framework. Also, how can we implement it in a way that is ethical, equitable, and in a way that there's data transparency? So it's very practical. I just want you to know this is not about more theory, more research. I lead with research. I give you data that is evidence-based. I didn't make this up. But what is important is to give you practical tools that you can move forward and we can elevate ourselves together.
Yeah, Dr. Rose, I'm really excited because I know it's going to be a phenomenal talk. And I think this is a subject that really requires all of us to be in a room and have that discussion with other women to bring this discussion to the table. And I'm excited to have you as one of our keynote speakers in London this June. Dr. Rosa, any last parting thoughts and how also people connect with you before we wrap up today's episode?
Thank you. I think I want to leave a thought of there's no limits. Sometimes the limits are inside us. And as a woman, we take care of family, many other people, but we need to balance the family with elevating ourselves so we can elevate others. And you can contact us. You can learn more about the Needs Human movement on the needshumans.com. That you can join the movement because what we're planning to do is to bring experts it's like a Need Human Guild. We want to bring experts to co-design frameworks and tools together. And also you will be able to listen and learn from other people and also share your expertise. And also you can email me at rosack@globalequitylearning.com. And I'm also in LinkedIn. So I'm looking forward to hear from you and we can change the world one person at a time together. So looking forward to see some of you in London. You should come and join us.
Dr. Rosa, this was fantastic. And to all of our audience, if you want to find out a little bit more about Need Humans or Global Equity Learning, do connect with Dr. Rosa via the links below in the show notes. Leave a comment below. Let us know how you enjoyed this episode. If you feel that this is a topic that you want to share with the world, please do make sure you share this episode with others. And of course, we are going to have Dr. Rosa present at our London event. So do make sure you book your ticket now and you'll be there for that conversation, connections, opportunities, and meet with incredible women from all around the world. We are just getting started with this conversation. I think the more of information and knowledge that we're able to share and strategies, and Dr. Rosa, you're at forefront of these conversations and the movement. So I'm really grateful to have your voice on our platform today. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your message.
Thank you. See you soon, all of you.
Thank you so much. And to all of you ladies, hope you enjoyed this episode and come back for more Women Thrive podcast episodes on our YouTube channel as well as Spotify. Look forward to seeing you again on another show. Take care for now. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to this episode of Women Thrive Podcast. I'm so thankful for you as a listener for spending time with us, myself and my co-host Abigail, to hear our conversations with our guests. If you have had the opportunity to hear our podcast, do make sure you leave a review and share this episode with your audience as well. This has helped us reach the 5 top % globally ranked podcasts, as well as reach more than 30,000 downloads to date. Your support means so much to us, and this is how we get to reach more people around the world. At Women Thrive Media, we're here to amplify voices of women and empower women to take the center stage and shine a spotlight on their messages.